Hey everyone, this is Jane with Barlow Herbal, and happy Sunday, September 3rd of 2023. This is a beautiful, beautiful day, and I'm actually a little bit tired this morning. I did a huge big hike yesterday with some friends, and then I'm hiking again with Brian this morning. So yesterday was a big day. I actually took a nap when I got back and went to bed early, and I'm up early to go jump on a hike again with Brian. But I have a really great message that kept coming in today, and of course I've got my notes on this. And you know, with all of the things that are happening, all of the things that we're hearing as far as coming, you know, some of these mandates and measures and all this stuff that's, you know, kind of looks like they might be trying to throw more stuff at us. The biggest thing that came into me this week was that the idea that we no longer need fear to be our teacher. I think as a collective, we just don't need it. We don't need it anymore. We don't need to be afraid of anything. Okay, so let's unpack that a little bit with some of the notes that I wrote, because I think that this is really important, because we can change so much with our thoughts and our feelings. And I believe we can change everything when it comes to the diseases we express, the love we have in our life, the abundance we have in our life. And I'm going to even be so bold as to say that I do believe we can even make changes in what the earth is going through and all the climate change things. So bear with me, stick with me on this idea. Okay, so along with all of the things that we think about, and the things that we think about in the whole fear thing, you know, one of the things that's kind of been popping into my reality the last few months especially is the idea of how AI could actually go really, really wrong. But, you know, so I'm just going to kind of go through these things that can bring fear into our lives, right? Because for many of us, the fear of any type of virus, the fear of all that, is really a non-issue. You know, I mean, if you're still a person that's rotating in that, I hope that you can release that. You know, that is something I hope for you. You're probably not watching this channel if you're one of those people who are stuck in that kind of fear, but that's also okay too. So let's think about the potential for AI to do something that's not good for humanity. Take it so far as to say enslave us, right? But I believe that technology and AI, if we as humans make the right decisions and we use it for good, it can affect the collective it can be it can make things so different in such an amazing way. So I believe that we're waking up to the power of our choices, the choices we make on every little thing. And it really does come down to the choices of how we think about things and how we feel about things. Because we can think about something and be in a place of fear about it, or be in a place of love. And does it take practice? Yes, it does. So that we have the choice to use AI or technology for the greater good. We get to choose whether we are victims in this whole thing, or if we are going to be wise. And sometimes it can be as simple for us as setting this piece of technology that we all keep near us and by us and all of that. We can use it, we can start right now and say, I'm going to use this when I need to make a phone call, when I need to take a picture, when I want to record something. We can use it for all of the amazing things that it provides for us. And then for the rest of the time, which hopefully as you get more used to this will be the majority of the time, you can set this aside. And you don't feel anxiety. You know, I had a good friend of mine who actually dropped her phone into their swimming pool. And it worked for a few minutes. She thought everything was okay. And then it stopped working. So her husband, I don't know exactly what he did, but he somehow went in and disabled her Apple account. And it literally took 2 weeks for everything to become activated again. So she could go buy a new phone, but Apple would not. It was an interesting situation for her, and something I've never heard of for anyone else. And in fact, she said it actually took 17 days between when she had her phone and she was reachable and when she got her phone back in her account, and everything that was attached to it, everything, her emails, her banking, like you think about all the things that people have on their devices, and it's pretty much your whole life, right? Well, the interesting thing is, of course, she was still able to get on her computer, and she needed to make a phone call. She could use her husband's phone or one of her, she has a child in college and one that's a senior in high school, and so there's phones in her house that she can use. But to actually have her personal phone where people could reach out and text her and call her, and she, all the things that we're used to doing on these devices. We actually just got together for dinner this week, and we kind of caught up, and it was lovely. But she said that after the first couple of days, it became the most free. For I had a word search app, and I used to tell myself that I was helping my brain stay sharp. And I think to a certain extent, some of these things can help us take care of our brain and all the things that we think about, and we say, okay, this is why we do this. This is fine. This is, but she had no access to any of that. And it was actually a really beautiful conversation that we had about this technology and how attached we get to it. So we get to choose. I think when we suck into these devices, we can become victims because of what we let in and how we get so disconnected from Mother Nature, from our relationships, and mostly from ourselves. We disconnect from our thoughts, our emotions, our feelings, the things that raise the vibration of the planet. We literally disconnect, and we are disconnecting ourselves. So I say that it's a choice that we all have to be wise with our technology, and let it be something going forward that continues to be for the greater good. Because to me, these are wonderful. These devices are wonderful. This is, I remember all the things that I used to have, when my kids were I think they were in grade school, and just barely the first few grades, I had saved up enough money to buy a video camera. And it was, I actually kept it for a long, long time because it had so many good memories, but it was actually a great big video camera. And the tape that we put in it was actually a VHS tape, and that we put it right inside the video camera. And some of you might be able to relate to that. And that's how I started recording videos of my kids, because I didn't have any videos from when I was growing up. And I know other people did because they had access to the technology that was available then. But growing up in a great big family, that was just not something that was ever a part of growing up. In fact, we even have very, very few photographs of us growing up. It just wasn't a priority for my parents. I mean, they were busy raising so many of us. So, I think I spent $800 or $900, maybe even more. This was back in the 80s when I bought this video camera. So you think about all of the things that these devices allow us to do that are so incredible. And I'm telling you, when I'm videotaping my grandkids doing whatever with us, my husband loves to cook, and our granddaughter, who's 12, also has grown to be a person who loves to cook. And her and my husband, I have pictures of them from when she was tiny. He was holding her 9 months old, stirring something on the stove, and she's watching and paying attention, and then she would sit on the counter for a while he was blending up something. She was helping him crack eggs and stuff, and now as a tall 12-year-old, I have pictures of them over these years with her standing at the stove with him. And these provide such beautiful memories. In fact, think about when you watch something that you've recorded that brings you so much joy and it fills you with love. I mean, think about what that is doing to the energy of your physical body, the people in the room with you, the energy of your home, of your neighborhood, of your environment. Everything pushes out into the collective when we get these high vibe moments. And the goal is to keep them around as much as possible, right? So this is where we can say, maybe ask ourselves this question: is this keeping me in a place of victimhood, or is this keeping me wise? Am I being wise with this powerful, powerful technology? I think, here's what I think. I think humanity in the last few years has grown, and we've grown in amazing, big, beautiful ways. There is definitely an awakening that has been happening. And is the work done? Is everyone going to, be in the same level? No, but here's the thing. Not everybody has to be. Not everybody has to be. It doesn't take every single person, every single soul, to get us into the place where I know we're going. So we no longer need fear to be our teacher. This came up so many times this week, and once I kind of grabbed a hold of that thought, I thought, okay, this is it. This is today's message. So we get to choose love in places where we think there's fear. In fact, one of the friends I hiked with yesterday, I've known her since she was a teenager. Me and one of my sisters used to own a health club. We built a fitness center more than 25 years ago, and this lovely, beautiful person, I hired her when she was 16 or 17, and over these last 25 years, we have continued to stay in touch and even travel to other parts of the world together. And I hiked with her yesterday and another friend, and one of the things that came up, because in these conversations that I'm now having with people, I'm like trying to drop little nuggets of things that I've learned and things that we can all do, because not everybody that I surround myself with is 100% on the same exact mindset or the exact path I am, but I know that these little things that I share can make a big difference. And one of the things that we kind of started talking about was the whole fear thing, because this was on my radar from all week. And she said something very interesting. Of course, she's a grown-up, she has a child of her own, and she said that one of the things that her mom still does as a person that's in her mid-40s now is that her mom still calls her and says, don't be afraid, I hope you're safe. In fact, on Friday of this week, in the Salt Lake Valley, we sometimes have these big windstorms, and we get high winds that kind of sweep around the valley. And Friday was one of those days. And so she was telling me her mother lives also in the same state, but about 4 or 5 hours away. So her mother doesn't live in the same state, but her mother literally called her up and said, please stay safe, I'm afraid for you in these high winds. And it was interesting to we were on a 5-hour hike yesterday. So the hike was big, and we had lots of time to really talk deep about feelings and thoughts and processes of either love or fear or anxiety or happiness or whatever. So you get into these deep conversations, and if you know to ask the right questions, you can really help change someone's perspective. And one of the things that she said as we were going, because me and the other friend, we'll go out and we'll hike on our own. If we don't have a buddy to hike with, we'll and we want to hike, we'll go out and we'll go up into the mountains and we'll hike some of these trails, especially the ones we're familiar with, and we'll really tune in and pay attention to our intuition, how we're feeling. But these are some of the most beautiful moments that me personally I've ever had. And this other friend said, I've never hiked by myself because I'm afraid. And so that's how this whole question started, with the whole fear thing, and telling us about her mother and how it was always that. It was always, and so I think it's interesting how we get caught in these rhythms, even maybe from childhood. And if we have parents who continue to hover over us, or maybe we see that in ourselves, we are someone who hovers over our grown children, then it's very interesting to think about releasing that, because those are some deep set patterns and deep set programming. In fact, one of the things that I brought up is, I'm second oldest of 14 kids. So when I grew up, I got married when I was 18 years old, my first marriage. And I was 3 months out of high school. And many of my siblings, especially many of my sisters, a lot of us got married very young. And it was interesting because my parents never hovered. In fact, they didn't really hover when we were growing up at all. And I know times are different. It's easy to say, well, times are different. Things are much more dangerous. And I would have to say, I would beg to differ on that. Things are different. The things that we need to pay attention to are different. There is no doubt about that. But when I grew up and got married, and at such a young age, I was off and out. And I never had a phone that was connected to my body like mine is now. So the texting thing and sending pictures, those were not an option. So this is again where you get to be wise, right? If you find yourself in a place where you are hovering over somebody, or you have someone, a parent or a grandparent or someone who hovers over you and is so concerned about your safety and your security and your everything that's happening with you, it can be a really freeing thing. In fact, I've talked about this with my siblings as we've grown and gone through this life, because most of us, my youngest brother just turned 41 last month. So we're all grown-ups. We're all way grown-ups. And it's like we've talked about what a gift it was when my mom and dad let us go out into the world and have our experiences. They never judged us if we made a bad financial mistake. They never judged us if we made wrong food choices, or if we made wrong marriage choices, my parents, they were always there and always supportive, and they always listened, especially my mom. She always listened to what we had to say, but she never threw down advice at us. And as odd as that may sound, I never felt like she was not helping me and not giving me the advice I needed. I always just felt like I had this listening ear, and sometimes that helped me talk out things. But a lot of times too, and if you have siblings, you might have turned to your sibling for that advice and that talking ear. And I think that I really wasn't, this thought process is really interesting to me, because this did come up on the hike. I didn't expect to talk about it, but that whole thing of releasing fear because it was instilled in you as a young person because you had a hoverer parent, that's an interesting thought, right? So no matter how powerful or clever, and this kind of ties, I wrote this while I was thinking about technology, no matter how powerful or clever technology becomes, if you don't let it, it will not harm you. So here's our choice. So we get to choose. All of us get to choose. Some people will choose differently than we might choose to live our life and let in or let out or be affected by. So put your energy into love. Put your energy into what feels expansive and hopeful. Put your energy there. This is what will guide you forward to experience miracles. This to me is like, right? I mean, think about that. We get to choose. And have expectations of good, positive news and not negative news. So all the stuff that's happening in the world, I'll open up YouTube, and on the homepage, because of the stuff that I watch or I've watched in the past, it'll bring up these headlines. And sometimes it'll bring up these headlines anyway. like lockdowns are coming again, masks are coming back, and new variants are circulating. And sometimes I'm at a point where I just kind of giggle, and I just am like, wow, this is, and what I always say is, this is an interesting time to be alive, right? So have expectations of good news, and you know what will happen? You will attract that into your field. Okay, so fear is really an illusion. Okay, this is a big thing that came in this week. Fear is just an illusion. You can choose, I know people that were not afraid of anything in the last, during this whole last 3.5 years. They weren't bothered about the mandatory stuff. They weren't worried about the virus. They just kind of went along. They had their life, and I actually thought that was such a fascinating thing, because I was afraid of what the implications of the response was. Like, our freedoms, and fear is fear. Fear is fear. And if we look at fear as an illusion, it changes the game. Okay, we are coming to a crossroads where we get to make this choice. We now are at a crossroads in humanity, and I know many people feel that. I feel that every day I wake up. I think, oh my goodness, I get a choice today. I get a choice to vibrate in positivity, expansion, love, or I get a choice to open up my phone and open up my computer, my technology, and I get to choose what I watch, what I let in. Our thoughts and feelings create and generate our reality. That little book I shared about a month ago, How to Get Anything You Want, that little book that was, published 100 years ago, talks all about that. Our feelings are what matter. They generate our reality. So get in touch with your feelings. Practice compassion, happiness, kindness, generosity, respect, and above all, practice unconditional love. And remember that unconditional love means that. It means you don't put conditions on your love. Don't say, if you think this way, I'll love you. If you act this way, then I'll love you. If you see this world the same way, then I'll love you. Love, unconditional love, looks like pure love. No conditions. Don't put conditions on your love. And that's always such a powerful message. And then I took this one step further, because what kept coming in this week, and this is kind of where I think I'll end this, is I think that one of the things that's ramping up is the fear of climate change. I'm going to bring this up. If you are afraid that we're destroying Mother Earth because we're not being responsible, and you're afraid that climate change is going to wipe us out, okay? Say you're afraid that it's a bunch of people who want to control us, so they're taking something that is happening, the Earth is changing, all of that, and they're doing it to control us. So it doesn't matter what your perspective is on this, because it does boil down to perspective, and I've found myself on either side, because and I know I talked about this again last week, because it's important to realize we do need to take care of Mother Earth. We need to pay attention. And here's the thing, it can feel hopeless and helpless, because we think, well, what can I do? And I can recycle, and I can drive less, and I can carpool, and I can not buy things that destroy the planet. I can make good choices. And the answer to that is all yes, yes, yes. And then we can say, it's the big corporations that are polluting. And is that true? Yes, it is. And this is where it's like, we can go into a place of, well, I'm just helpless, because it's not me. I'm doing everything I can. It's this, and it's also the people who are trying to control us with this. And what we're still in is, we're still in a place of fear. Okay? And I heard something this week that brought that this is why I brought this into today's conversation, because I think it's super, super cool. Someone brought this up, and I think this might have been my friend that I was having dinner with this week. I saw a lot of friends this week. On the hike yesterday, a couple friends. I went out to dinner with 2 different friends this week. I had a lot of things going on this past week. I got to spend a full day with 8 people in a little expansion retreat. Like so much beautiful energy and beautiful uplifting. That some of this stuff that where it came in from is kind of blending. But what was actually talked about was, think about this with the whole climate thing, and I think this is something to really put into your awareness and put out into the cosmos, into the atmosphere, into whatever. So in our attempt and in our desire to raise our frequency, keep our thoughts high, keep our feelings high, keep them in a place of love instead of fear. In our attempt to do that as well, let's bring that into the whole idea of the climate. And let's think, how can I personally, with my energy, with my vibrations and my feelings, send out the most beautiful vibration for a clean, gorgeous earth? And instead vibrate in that place. And I will tell you, what does this for me a lot of times is when I'm out in it, when I'm hiking especially. And I think almost everyone can go to a place where they can get and connect with Mother Nature and go be in the trees. And this is one of the things I love, honestly, about hiking hiking on my own. And I don't put earbuds in. I don't listen to music. I don't listen to podcasts. Sometimes I'll talk to people along the way and say hi and good morning. And every once in a while I'll actually stop and I'll have a conversation with people that I don't know. But for the most part, when I hike on my own, there are so many beautiful high vibes happening and deep thoughts and beautiful meditations, and all of these realizations come in. I solve some of my best problems and issues when I'm out in Mother Nature. And I've reached this place where I'm giving so much gratitude and love for these hikes that I'm on. I've caught myself taking pictures of a beautiful tree that, in the winter here we have lots of snow that falls, and some of these trees, when they're young, they'll get impacted by the snow. So they'll instead of growing straight, they'll grow and they'll be like these beautiful, it's like Mother Nature's art, because the trees just grow the way they grow due to the weather and all that stuff. And it's, there is really something magical about that. And I will tell you, okay, so we're 28 minutes in. So once again, if you got this far, I have a lot of beautiful things that I'm putting out to the universe. I'm working hard behind the scenes, and the goal is to expand and I'm going to share it later down the road, but I have some really big expansion dreams with my company, with things that are going to affect my family, and I can already feel that they are going to be in my universe. So this is what I encourage you to do, whatever it is that you want. And especially if it's something that is going to bring more abundance, more love, more connection. These are the things that need to come to fruition from people who see and people who understand what's happening. So, you know what? I'm going to put it right there, and let's end it with this. So let's eliminate toxic thoughts and transform thoughts like that are based in things like fear, hate, resentment, guilt, shame, loathing, all of those low frequency vibrations. Let's eliminate those and transform those negative thoughts into something that I've heard many people say over the years. If you follow anybody that teaches about chakras, teaches about clearing energy, and you've heard of violet light or violet pill. So the violet chakra is your crown chakra. So if you start to feel yourself in these lower vibrational energies, envision wrapping them all up in a little neat package and clearing them with violet light through your crown chakra, releasing them. Because a lot of these come from within our own energy field. And you kind of literally have to put those into a different place and then release them, okay? So use the violet light of your crown chakra. Focus on love. Raise the vibration in your brain through your thoughts and your feelings, and watch how the changes happen in your external reality. You know, there are beautiful, big things coming. There are so, like, I can feel it with every fiber of who I am. And I hope and wish that for you as well. And I think if we take these small ideas, these things that we might realize as a program, you know, like my friend whose mother still hovers over her with these energies of fear. And they come with a concern. The mom is not trying to give her fear. Her mom is trying to give her concern. It's what she knows. And I think maybe there needs to be a gentle conversation with mom about that, right? A loving, gentle conversation. Like every time you call me and you say this is how I feel. And it puts me in this state. And I would really request and love if you didn't do that anymore. Because I don't think the mom is even aware that that is what's happening. And that's usually where these things come from, is an unawareness. So let's go through this week with the mantra of we no longer need fear to be our teacher. Fear can teach us a lot of lessons, but I think we're past that. Humanity is past that. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Subscribe to this channel if you're not. Hit the thumbs up. It always helps the algorithm. And I love, love, love when we start conversations with each other. And like I said, I am the one that goes through and answers your questions and and responds to your comments. And I thank you. I thank you so much to everyone that is jumping aboard this train of the high vibration love train. As corny as it sounds, it is powerful and beautiful. So thanks so much for tuning in, you guys. I hope you have a beautiful Sunday. I am off to do another hike, and I think that there might be another nap in my afternoon, but this is what it's about. Enjoying this physical body, loving Mother Nature, and pushing out all the good vibes. So thanks again for being here, guys. I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful day, a wonderful week ahead, and we will see you next week.